And I am also happy to be back with my sister. Yay!
Hi, everybody. We're going to do a few more shows. We're, the show just isn't expanding to where we wanted it to be. And
Nobody's watching.
nobody's watching. I guess we're just not that. Well, we kind of saw what happened the last show I was on. Nobody watched. So I guess it was my sparkling personality and.
Except Kim. Kim always watches.
Of course. Hi, Kim. But we're going to do a few more shows. I'm talking to Catherine to figure out our schedules and stuff. And also, hopefully, we can get Richard back here. And I don't know, I'm thinking a couple of surprises. So
Keeps going to Las Vegas. So
I know. Well, the boy is busy. What can I say?
But just to let you guys know, the show is not going to go away.
No.
I am going to convert it into a show about the science fiction TV series Babylon 5.
Which I think is a great idea. I just don't know
Because
enough about it. So
there are a lot of people that like the show. The 4 or 5 Babylon 5 groups on Facebook are very active. I tested the waters and asked around if anybody would be interested in watching it, and all but one said yes. There was one. There's always one troll in every group.
Always one. Always.
So there was one that said, I wouldn't watch anything you did. Have you ever seen anything I did? And I asked him, I said, have you ever seen anything I did? He said, well, no. And I said, well, then why would you not watch it?
They just like being jerks, you know. Yeah, we had somebody over in one of the groups we have putting together the retirement thing for friends of mine and stuff, and said, no, I'm not interested in it. And I said, then why are you in my group? So I bumped them.
I don't understand some of these people in these groups. They'll be in a group and say, oh, I hate that show. And I said, don't you realize what group you're in? You're in a group for people that like that show. So why are you here?
Why are you here? Yeah. We have that all the time with the Skinwalker Ranch group. You know, so, oh, I hate that show. Okay, why are you here? Well, I just want to give my opinion. Well, we don't want to hear it. So
yeah, I mean, who wants to listen to it?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
what we're here to talk about today is because Melanie and I grew up during the 50s, her mainly the 60s, because she was only there for 1 year of the 50s.
Well, you were only there for a few years of the 50s.
I was there for 5 years of the 50s. You were only there for 1. Well, I can at least remember a little bit of the 50s.
I was actually only in the 50s for about a week.
Yeah. she was born December 25th, 1959. So she can't be blamed for not remembering the 50s.
I really don't remember anything much past much before 65, so you know.
Yeah, probably like Batman and that kind of stuff is the first stuff Melanie has a solid remembrance of.
Dark Shadows, you know, a little bit of Star Trek, that kind of thing. Anyway, we were very blessed in Los Angeles because we were a town of people wanting desperately to get into the entertainment industry on a global level. They all crowded in here, and of course, the first thing you go to is local TV. And some of our, the best of local television was right here in LA. And we had some just classic people, Sheriff John, who was a much beloved figure in the Southwest because his shows got sort of brindled around.
And he
And
90s, and he
yeah,
got an honorary Emmy
yeah,
that they gave
he
him a
was
lifetime
well,
achievement. It was a lifetime achievement award,
yep.
and
And
he was wearing his Sheriff John outfit. I remember when they gave him the award, and I was like, "Wow, he looks pretty good for 90." I think he was 93 or something
yeah,
like that.
and we're like going, son of a gun, he's still alive. But
And
that's pretty much what
I
you're talking.
got one. I got one to tell you right now. This lady,
Yay, Hobo Kelly!
she is still alive.
Yep.
She is alive and kicking. Her name is Sally Baker. And let me tell you a little something. On Facebook, there is a group, and it's called something like The Real Hobo Kelly. And it is not The Real Hobo Kelly. Because whoever this person is posting half naked pictures of women and stuff like that, and doing this fundraiser to bring Hobo Kelly out to LA. Hobo Kelly wouldn't come to LA, I don't think, because I think she was done with performing, and I don't think she really wants to come to LA.
I think she
Now,
likes her house and her dog.
I mean, maybe if they gave her an Academy Award or something, they might drag her out here. But this woman's doing like, well, I don't know if it's a woman. She's claiming to be
Probably
Hobo
not.
Kelly. And like I say, they're doing one of these Kickstarter or whatever, one of those things where you donate money online. And I just be really careful if you get over there and look at that, because I don't think that's legit. I really don't.
And it's not a legit account either. So, it's and
I tried
she,
to report. I'm sorry. I tried to report it as being a fraudulent account, but if you say they're pretending to be somebody else, it has to be somebody that Facebook has heard of, because they have like a drop down menu, and I typed in Sally Baker and it just like,
no idea
yeah,
who.
so yeah, so they wouldn't even take the report.
Yeah, we have that trouble with dark shadows people too.
I don't understand Facebook. You know, they're
Nobody.
they're getting to be those reels that they have at the top of the screen. There's some guy that's posted these pictures of his model girlfriend half naked. Have you noticed those up there? Well, I
Yeah.
reported those, and I said they were suggestive, videos. And we didn't take it down because we saw nothing wrong with it. Every time I had somebody got on there, called me all sorts of god awful, hateful names, and I reported it. And they said, "Well, we didn't remove the post because we
It
didn't
was
see
their
anything wrong
opinion.
with it."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
don't
over
even bother to report stuff.
don't. I mean, there's the ironic thing is over on the Criminal Minds board, there's a fellow who goes by Tom Gibson, who the name of the actor who played Hotch, and there was somebody with a fake account that was going around telling everybody he was the real one, and he had somehow gotten a little thing on his account that suggested he was real. Well, he wasn't. So the guy over there who was Tom Gibson, who really was Tom Gibson, and who three of the other actors who are on the board, they all verified this was the real Tom Gibson. He got his account swacked, and the other guy was still posting. So now it's been changed, but
I only know two bigger name actors on Facebook.
yeah,
Pamela Vernon
yeah,
actually has an account on Facebook, but
yes.
Pamela Vernon will not talk to you.
Nope.
She will not respond to you.
Nope.
So don't bother. She posts interesting things. 90% of it is animal cruelty stuff and animal rights stuff and
Yeah.
vegan, anti-eating meat and so forth.
Yeah.
That's about half of what she posts. The other one that I know for a fact is the real guy is Peter Jurassic.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Peter Jurassic?
I know the name, but I don't know where from.
Babylon 5. He played
Oh,
Londo
okay.
Malari.
Yes. You've told
Okay.
me. Yeah.
He played
Yeah.
Londo Malari. And he has been on there. He currently is off. There was somebody else on there claiming to be him, and he had some problems with it. He got tired of it, so he went away for it. But he has announced he's coming back. So,
Well,
so
James McCartney, who is Paul McCartney's son, is on there, and it's actually him. He's all of Paul's kids are sort of like that. They don't think too much of themselves, so they most of the time they won't reply to anybody because they can't. It's security, But there are people who are there and they're real, but they won't reply to you.
Well, I know Tony Dow was on Facebook for a while.
Yeah.
He's unfortunately gone now, but I knew Tony Dow kind of indirectly. My late wife's brother played golf with him. I guess Tony lived in Downey or somewhere near Downey, and my wife's brother used to play, like I say, golf with them at the Rancho Los Amigos golf course, which was right next to where my brother-in-law lived at the time. So they got to be chummy. And, Tony Dow did some sci-fi.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the show he did. It seems like it was Captain Zoom.
Might have been.
It was about this 1950s science fiction, like Buster Crabbe kind of actor who got drugged through a machine to another planet because they needed a hero to help save them. And Tony Dow was the director and producer of that. And it also had Nichelle Nichols in it. She was in the show. So it was a pretty good show.
Well, anyway, beware of anybody who says they're, Sally Baker or whomever. It's there's really no way to establish who anybody is anymore online.
Well, I can just about guarantee you one thing. If it says the real at the beginning of it, it's not.
No.
If it says the real Don Steele, nope, he's dead.
He's dead. Well, no, that's right. That's Machine Gun Kelly who got his name co-opted.
Well, there's a new guy that uses it, but he doesn't call himself Machine Gun Kelly. He calls himself like Shotgun Kelly or something similar. Something similar.
Well, anyway, as you can tell,
ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the real Don Steele.
Sorry,
Robert W. Morgan.
How many times do I get a chance to play
Yeah,
Look at that.
exactly.
So here,
And
93 KHJ.
Los Angeles.
that was talking back to the LA kid shows. That was the station in LA at the time.
Yeah, oh
was
yeah.
KHJ.
Yeah, it was that's where everybody what everybody listened to. And
Now, let's go into a couple of shows that were not technically just LA shows, but we watched them in LA. And
yeah,
one of them that I really got a kick out of is
Diver Dan.
Diver Dan. Below
Yep.
in the seas, there's adventures and danger. That's where you'll find Diver Dan.
Dan.
I didn't sing the theme song originally, but
No, he didn't. And
now
God knows why.
Diver Dan was really good. It was shot through a fish tank. They had the camera on the other side of a fish tank with the bubbles. And then Diver Dan walked around the studio in his diving outfit, and they had fish puppets. They had Baron Barracuda, who was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Now, how he managed to smoke a cigarette underwater, I don't know.
The magic of television.
And his right-hand man, which was Trigger, the tigerfish.
Yes.
And then they had the mermaid, who was like the fairy godmother of the show.
Yeah.
And Diver Dan always saved the day.
Always.
Yep. And they actually made 40 episodes of that show.
Yeah.
And you can still get it on DVD. If you I have the theme song someplace. I try not to play theme songs here because we get in trouble when we play theme songs. Even if they're obscure things like that, somebody will claim the copyright. And the thing with YouTube, where we play this show, is YouTube, you don't have to prove to YouTube that you own the copyright. All you have to do is claim the copyright. We had somebody messing with us a while back who was claiming a copyright on our show.
Yeah. It took my attorney to back him off.
Yeah, and he kept claiming that he owned the show. Now, where I got that idea, I don't know. But anyway.
He was somebody.
Diver Dan.
Yes.
Oh, Diver Dan was good. I like Diver Dan. It was certainly not anything with special effects or anything.
No.
It just shows you what you could get away with back then.
Yeah, and you had to sit there and wonder why the puppets weren't soaking wet. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously though, it was a cute show, and if you were 5 or 6 years old, you didn't know. And
I liked it.
I did too, and there was, of course, the funny thing was he was walking around in a diving suit that was only like 100 years old, and he was followed. Did baby Daphne come on after him, or was there some kind of association with him?
Well, I think that the cartoons, the Diver Dan show was only like 10 or 15 minutes long. It wasn't like
yeah.
So it was part of another show.
Yeah. It all seemed like
because it all ran like that. Remember Crash Crannock?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy that had the long nose with the mustache. That was part of Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Which
know,
that's also part of Bullwinkle. So, they were all Jay Ward productions.
it was all mixed up together. And, it took Tracy Ullman many years later to complain about the Simpsons being her property, which of course she lost badly because she paid the people for X amount of episodes and then kicked them off. So the
And
back
if you
then,
watched the Tracy Ullman Simpsons episodes, and they were really bad.
very.
It wasn't the same voices; it was different voices, and it just. But I'll tell you, I sure hate what Disney has done to the
Oh,
Simpsons.
it's just
Ruined the
pathetic.
Simpsons.
It's just pathetic. I mean, you
They,
go back
they
to
should
the
really.
old days, and
They should put the Simpsons out of its misery.
they should. It's time to take Bart to the needle. It's
Yeah.
it really is awful, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And
So one more show like Diver Dan that was not a local show, but that Melody and I both watched was HR Puffin Stuff.
yep, it was filmed here.
It was
Or
filmed
shot.
in Big Bear.
Yep.
Or at least the beginning of it was filmed in Big Bear. I think most of the show was filmed in a studio
Yeah, at the CBS studio.
using old McDonald's
Yeah.
commercial. I'm sorry, but HR Puffin Stuff looked an awful lot like the Hamburglar.
Poor
Did
Jack.
you ever notice that?
Yeah,
Looked an
oh, yeah.
awful lot like the Hamburglar.
It's,
Now, Jack Wild? Is that
yes.
the kid?
Yeah, and he's since
What
passed.
became of him? Did he ever do anything after that? Or
Oh
was that
yeah,
it?
he did. He was in Oliver, the film. He played
Oh,
the Artful Dodger. He did quite a few things. Unfortunately, he passed away of fairly young. So
that's too bad.
yeah, it's very sad. But he and again, one of those cases of not taking care of yourself. But drugs.
Well, we were talking about an LA talk show host that and it was the first of the confrontational talk show hosts. And I'm sure you don't remember him. He was before your time. His name was Joe Pine.
I've heard of him. I don't remember him.
Well, his producer for his show was a fellow named Wally George.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And Wally George tried to use the same routine, and he created his own show in the 80s. So you probably remember Wally George.
I remember Wally George. Yeah, but
So
Joe first one.
Yeah, well, Joe Pine is the one that began that style of. He was a Marine Corps not Medal of Honor, but medal winner.
Yeah.
I think he had three medals, including a Purple Heart. He only had one leg.
Mm-hmm.
He got his leg shot up in the war, and then he got cancer in it later on. So then he lost his leg, and then he got lung cancer and died at 45. So didn't make it too long, but he was making $200,000 a year in the mid 60s.
Yeah, that was a lot of money then.
That's like $1 million now.
Yeah.
So he was making serious money. So he was drawing down some viewers, or he wouldn't have been making that kind of money.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was a local LA
Yep.
show.
You know, most big metro areas in the country had children's shows, and a lot of them were quite good. In fact, Patty Duke started on one in Chicago, and of course, every market had their own romper room. But we were really lucky because we had some pretty gifted people that basically spun their wheels and waited out time. They didn't want to work at the burger dive.
Well, we had some good ones. We had Mr. Wishbone. He was very talented, very good show. It was a little early for Melody, but I remember Mr. Wishbone. He was very good. And Soupy Sales. And you said Baby Daphne was spun off from the Mr. Wishbone show.
I believe
said, right?
so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Baby Daphne was all about cartoons, and she did her own makeup. Most of the people back then had to do their own makeup and their own costumes because there just wasn't the budget in it. But then there was Engineer Bill, who
Bill Stula, I think it was his name, and that ran from 1954 to 1966 on KHJ, and it was called Cartoon Express for a while, and he won 2 Daytime Emmy Awards.
Yep, it was all about getting us to drink our milk.
Yep.
and the lead bell for those who don't.
And the silver bell for those who did.
Silver bell for those who do. Yep.
And
one of his cartoons on his show was Astro Boy.
Yep.
And on the Helms truck,
yes,
they used to sell the theme song from Astro Boy and the theme song from Engineer Bill. And I still have the 45 RPM record of the Engineer Bill theme song.
Yeah,
that was purchased off the Helm truck.
They also sold the Jetsons theme song album, which I no longer have because somebody broke it.
Uh-oh. Did I break it? Oops. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't remember that.
It's not like it was a great loss, too, you know.
Well, it's probably worth money now.
No.
Nah.
The Jetsons hasn't really picked up a big fandom, so it's okay for mid-century TV. It comes up every once in a while, but the Helms truck. So they would sell bread and donuts and all kinds of extremely fattening things, and it came to your door. Yep. It's back in the day.
They had a light brown panel truck.
Oh, they were so
mostly
cool.
Mostly Chevrolet with these beautiful wooden varnished drawers.
Wood drawers.
They would pull out full of donuts and all sorts of fresh baked goods. And they were baked in downtown LA at the Helms Bakery. And the grandson or great-grandson of the guy who started it tried to open it again about 10 years ago and didn't make it.
These days, back then, we were just on the heels of the days when ice trucks would go pottering down the street with fresh fish and vegetables and that kind of thing.
When we were kids, they were still delivering milk.
Oh, yeah.
To the door. And we
Well, when I was a kid, I don't think Melanie remembers this, but I remember party lines.
Oh yeah, I remember party lines.
When
Yeah.
we lived in Norwalk, I remember we had a party line.
Yep.
There would
That's
be
how you
like
got.
4 or 5
Oh.
houses on this. There were 4 or 5 houses on the same line, and your house was 3 rings, and the house next door was 4 rings. So when you heard it ring 3 times, you knew it was for you, so you answered it. So you had to stand there and wait and see how many times it rang.
And you had to wait for a couple of seconds after the third ring if you were through.
Make sure it didn't ring the 4th time. But you had to hurry and pick it up, because if you didn't, it would hang up.
It'd hang up.
Yes.
It was real stupid, which is why they changed it. Anyway, they had so many things back then that just would be unknowable to youngsters these days. And as I've said many times, I don't think the modern youngster knows what fame is. The people who were famous back then, the people who were on Dark Shadows, which was in case, I mean, if you're watching this, you know what Dark Shadows was. The people who were on that show would go on Johnny Carson, which was the biggest show in the world at that time. And they would be known. They were recognizably famous people. You couldn't get a modern soap opera actor on Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel or any of those for anything. They just don't know who they are.
Now,
So
to give you a general idea of, you were talking about, sorry, there's a little noise here in the background. Georgia is exiting the room.
Georgia has left the building.
Yep, almost. Georgia, please close the door. Thank you. There we go. But as I was saying, if you pissed off Johnny Carson, you were done in Hollywood.
It's true.
He was the most powerful entertainment person in Hollywood.
Easily, yeah.
You know, the Jimmy Kimmel, all the people that took his place on the late night TV shows, none of them. Uh-oh. Hang on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Hang on. I have to do something here.
Yeah, they just don't have the same level of fame that Johnny Carson did, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think anybody should be that powerful. He did a lot of he had his own marijuana crop that he had grown at a time when they were arresting people and sending them to jail for many, many years for doing that. But Johnny Carson could, and and he brought on I forget who it was. He'd bring on scientists and embrace their theories, and of course, like 3 years later, it'd be shot down. But it wasn't Johnny's fault.
Well, for many years, when Johnny started getting a little older, he stopped doing I think it was Monday.
Yeah,
he stopped
Monday.
doing the show on Mondays. And he would have Joan Rivers sit in for him as his guest host.
Yep.
Well, then Joan Rivers made the mistake of guest hosting what was his name? David.
David Letterman.
No, not David Letterman.
Oh.
The other one on Channel 7.
Oh,
Dick Cavett.
Dick
That's
Cavett.
what,
Yeah.
she made the mistake of guest hosting the Dick Cavett show. And Johnny got wind of it, and she never set foot on the Tonight Show ever again.
Yeah, but
and he was all set up to hand over the reins of the Tonight Show to her.
Yep.
And,
but that's how well
he was priming David Letterman to take over for him. And then David Letterman got impatient. But now David Letterman did okay for himself.
Oh, of course.
He had a good show.
His show was actually bigger than Johnny's for a while there.
Yeah, maybe towards the end.
Yeah, toward the end it was.
One of the most watched shows in the history of television was the last episode of The Tonight Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he had Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and I forget who all was on there.
Oh, he always had. I mean, just people that just don't do TV went on his show, or didn't do TV, went on his show, and which is why he got the numbers he did. And I saw it filmed live a number of times. Our mother was a huge fan of Johnny Carson, and we saw. You get to see the other side of TV when you do that, and it's not always a good perspective. But
now I don't know if you recall this. There was at the time my girlfriend was a lady named Monica, and Monica had a phobia about freeways.
Yes.
And she did not want to go on the freeway, but she wanted to go see Johnny Carson. So my mother, with the Thomas Guide, managed to take us all the way from our house in Lakewood to
Burbank Studios,
to the Johnny Carson show without getting on the freeway, which took a long time.
Yeah.
But Monica was appreciative. I mean,
she was.
And it was a good episode. The one we saw had Dolly Parton, Robert Urich, that policeman, Joseph Wambaugh, that did the Thin Blue Line. He was on there. And Henny Youngman.
Always some old, comic, but.
Yeah, Henny Youngman was on there.
That's another good thing about growing up in LA. Not only did we have great kids shows, we could go and see things filmed, and I've seen tons of TV shows shot.
Well, I know you and Mom went to see Steve Allen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I remember that a couple of times that day.
Several times. He was my favorite of all of them.
Steve Allen had a very big show at one time. He was pretty good.
He also was just he had an intelligent sense of humor that most of the shows back then had gone kind of stupid. So I'm not talking about the big ones. I'm talking about, just the regular TV. It started getting a little weird. So we went to see Steve Allen shot. We got to see, oddly enough, Robert Wagner was a guest on one of the shows, and they were doing some setup thing with guests from the audience, and they were doing some thing. It was stupid, but they had one of the guys from the audience made some smart crack at Steve Allen, and Steve Allen told him, "Out of here." So he's standing there with Robert Wagner, and Robert Wagner's talking to him quickly. And Wagner says, well, he says he won't do it again. He's okay. And Steve Allen says, I don't care. Out of here. Now, this tells you something when Steve Allen looked like the coarser, nastier person than a man who eventually might have murdered his wife. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to believe with that, but
who knows?
it was
Who knows?
certainly an odd situation, I got to say.
Yeah. But anyway, that's one of we got great kids shows. We had good weather.
Well, we had Channel 4 had an amazing news
Oh,
staff,
yeah.
if you recall. We had Tom Brokaw, and we're just talking the local news station now, too. I'm not talking about network, just the local Channel 4. Tom Brokaw was
people
the
came
lead,
from.
and Ross Porter was the sports guy. Kelly Lang was the weather girl.
Yeah, she eventually became the lead anchor.
Yeah. And, and we had Good Morning LA, which I used to like to watch before Regis Philbin. Before I went to school, I'd always watch it. The host was Ralph Story.
Oh, yeah, Ralph Story. How could I forget? Yeah, Ralph Story and Stephanie.
Bob Banfield and Stephanie Edwards.
And Stephanie Edwards.
And they used to film it out on the grass in front of the studio building. And it was, it was really cool. If it wasn't raining, they'd be filming it outside.
I must say that my favorite show of theirs, Ralph's Story was prior to Regis Philbin. Ralph had a stroke and had to retire for a couple of years, but Ralph's Story was a local legend. He's still beloved by anybody who remembers him.
Things that aren't here anymore.
Yes, things that aren't here anymore. And one of my favorite moments was on their show when they went over to the land of the giants and got a huge wagon. And they were following up on the Thanksgiving Day parade. And it went straight to the show. And there they all sat in this huge Red Rider wagon, or not Red Rider, whatever the thing was called.
I know what you're talking about.
And they were all sitting in it. And they said, "Here we are at Los Angeles Thanksgiving Day parade." Just the view of it was wonderful. But then, of course, another time he introduced a prominent Indian author as Tupac Chopra. And this made Stephanie Powers laugh so hard that she almost had to excuse herself. But anyway, he was a wonderful, brilliant man. And then Regis came in, and Regis, he was totally local. And they come to LA for the best of the best because they try him out here. And
going back to Johnny Carson,
yes,
two of the funniest things that ever happened on television happened on that show. He had Zsa Zsa Gabor on the show. And Zsa Zsa Gabor had a cat sitting in her lap. Do you recall this?
Yes.
And she turns to Johnny and she says, "Would you like to pet my pussy?" And he says, "Yes, if you move that damn cat."
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't know if you'll remember the night when they had Burt Reynolds when he was a huge star, and Bob Hope, and somebody else. I forget who it was. And then they, who is it? They introduced George Gobel, a comic from Muir.
Oh yeah,
who
I
walked,
remember George Gobel.
who walked out, sat down, and said, "You ever get the feeling that the world is a tuxedo and you're a pair of old brown shoes?"
Well, that episode actually had Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra.
That's
That's
right.
why he said that.
That's right.
Because he felt like, a pair of brown shoes compared to those two.
Well, that's what I'm saying is they had a
Yeah.
series of really big time people, and then he.
Now, the other one was the one with Johnny and Dolly Parton.
Oh yes.
and he says to Dolly Parton, he says, I'd just love to put my head between those and go, and he says, I give a year's salary. That's what he said. And
Yeah.
she said, with what you make, she says, I'll consider it. Because he made more than anybody
Yeah, it's true.
in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah.
He
So did
was-
Jay Leno. Jay Leno made a lot of money too.
Yeah, not Johnny Carson
No.
money.
No, but still quite a bit. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was back when they had.
People have forgotten how powerful Johnny Carson was.
Oh, like I said, people should not be that powerful. I'm glad that individual performers have lost that kind of powerful. I don't. You can't really even compare it to something. There's no metaphor for it.
No,
He was a
God.
god. Yes.
Yeah. Now
And-
he hosted the Emmys, didn't he, for many, many years.
Oh yeah. Nobody else.
Like Bob Hope hosted the Academy Awards.
Academy
for many
Awards.
years.
Yeah. And it just got to where he had I have to believe that's one of the reasons for the forced retirement, because he had just racked up too many things that were becoming hard to cover up. Heaven knows he had made a lot of enemies. So
Well, you get that powerful, you're going
you
to.
do. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're Keanu Reeves. You're just an angelic presence. But Johnny was, although I have to say, anybody I know who worked around him or worked with him liked him. He wasn't the warmest person in the world. He was kind of cool and distant. But he always made sure his whole staff got a good bonus every year. And nobody had to worry about who was going to do anything to them so that they'd lose their jobs. There was none of that going on in his group. So, good on him. And he left us really young when you consider how old people live these days.
And he was in pretty good shape. He was always playing tennis and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's nowadays they just have medications that keep us around, But
let's hope.
Yeah.
Now, let me play a little bit of this because I uploaded it and everything. This is the 1961 Hollywood Christmas Parade, which used to be a big deal in Hollywood. And Melanie and I went to it many years.
Froze our butts off.
Yep, but it was fun. We saw Hobo Kelly. We saw all of these people. We saw them in person. We saw Seymour. We saw, I saw Seymour and Hobo Kelly together at a Toys for Tots event.
Yeah.
Right. It was like in the parking lot behind Hollywood Boulevard where the parade was. After the parade, they went out there and they were collecting toys for the Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't mention Seymour because we did a show about Seymour.
Yeah.
I think it was at Halloween, wasn't
it?
So we did a show, and Seymour's pretty much a show all in and of himself.
Yeah.
You know, you would need the whole show just for Seymour. So
He was in
but
Miss
anyway,
P3000 before it
Yeah.
became famous.
we recognize Seymour was an LA icon.
Yep.
So even though he was, especially the short amount of time we had Seymour, and
Exactly.
he started the Knott's Berry Farm Halloween haunt. There would
Yep.
not be a Halloween haunt if it wasn't for Seymour.
Yeah, we ought to do a show on Ralph's story too before we.
That's
Of
a
course.
good idea.
It is.
Put that on the list.
I will.
He
Because
did
some of these
two.
people.
He did 2 DVDs
Yeah.
that I have in my collection, and they're in. You can buy them on PBS. You have to donate money to get them.
To get them
But
now.
they're called Things That Aren't Here Anymore.
And more
and
things.
More things that
Yeah.
aren't here anymore. And they're excellent, especially if you live in LA or used to live in LA. They show you all the cool stuff that used to be here. Some of them I don't remember. You know, they were before my time, and some of them I do remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's show. I'm going to skip through this. I'm going to kind of fiddle with it because there's a lot of marching bands with, you know, everybody in the marching band's probably dead now. So nobody
It's true.
cares.
I must say, one of the marching bands is from our local high school that my son went to, and Frank
Yep.
Zappa also went to it. So
Hey, so let's play it. Here we go.
go for it.
An eagle. That is an eagle. A real live eagle.
Oh, wait, all right. Wait, back to the beginning.
A real
There
live
you
eagle, who is also real dead.
Okay, so here we go.
Cold as it was back then.
Those are a bunch of cowboy stars that nobody cares about.
Still here. Wally
All right, I don't know what's going on here.
And,
Oh,
here's that happy patches
on.
party. Hello.
hey, here we go. All right, there we go. Back
Here
to the
we
beginning.
go. Okay. Gene
There's
Autry. and
Gene
John-
Autry and Johnny Grant. Johnny Grant used to be the unofficial mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and
And
he's
Gene
the
Autry,
guy.
of course.
30 years ago,
Yeah.
was one of those who
And-
suffered the tragic
Gene Autry probably is most famous for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Reindeer.
And what was the other one he did?
I
The
can't
Snowman,
remember.
Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah. Yeah. He
All right,
also
and
owned
that gentleman
KPLA.
right there, none of you are going to remember him unless you're 70 years old. He
Mayor
was the mayor
Samuel.
when I was a kid.
Yep.
All right, so let's skip through this.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
see some very famous
Curtis
LA people here.
Probably
All right, now
somewhere
this
in that
fellow,
route.
Jack Bailey. Hello, Jack.
he had a
Nice
show
good to
called
see you every
Pink
year.
Queen for a Day.
Wonderful. Look forward to
Yeah.
it, Jack. Well, it's nice
And
to
it
thank
was
you.
filmed
See you,
and
Jack
everything
Bailey.
here in Los Angeles. And my grandmother.
And a man coming
worked
along
for
who
the show.
has moved his
They
operations
had
to Hollywood.
women who'd had
Famous man
12
with the
children
champagne
and their
music, who now is at the
half of them
Palladium, of
died
course,
and their
Lawrence Welk. Hello,
husband
how are you, Lawrence?
decombusted,
How are you? So nice
and
to
then
see
they
you.
give
Hope you
her
had
a
wonderful Thanksgiving Day.
radar
Washington
range.
machine.
Yeah.
Now there's Lawrence Welk and the one and the tour.
We met, my
All right.
grandmother met, I met him too. We all met him.
All right, here. Now this next
There's
guy on
Duncan
the
Ronaldo.
horse,
Hello, Duncan. Will that horse
that's
let me get out
Duncan
there or not?
Ronaldo,
How are you?
who played the
Fine, thank
Cisco
you.
Kid.
It's a thrill to be back
And you'll
here in
notice
Hollywood
he
again.
speaks with a Mexican accent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duncan.
Duncan
was-
Ronaldo
And our very
was
good friend,
Hungarian.
and of course, his
Yeah.
charming wife, Frances Bushman.
So
You see
he
him, of
was
course.
a
Oh,
Polish,
well.
but
Yeah, nobody will
there's
know.
a bunch of dead people in the marching
Yeah,
band.
marching dead people. There's Chucko.
There's Chucko the Clown.
That's a show we did. Birthday.
His car almost ran him over. If you watch the parade, the car almost ran him over.
It would be the whole Chuckles the Clown Mary Tyler Moore thing before.
Now, that's
even-
very funny.
Yes.
That's all it takes. Lots of cars
The
there, lots of
Chuckles.
Well, I know you do a lot of wonderful things with those Christmas
Check
toys,
those
and
Christmas
congratulations.
show, Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go on to another
A
dead
bunch of
people
freezing
marching
young
dead.
people. Yeah. The marching dead. A
There's
donkey.
there's a mule on roller skates.
Oh, is it a mule? Oh, yeah, it is a mule.
There's Don
I
before,
don't know who all is here, but
who
it
was
looks
on a
like
show called
we got the
Hazel,
whole family. Hello,
and
Don.
who had a
How are
barbecue
you? Nice to see you.
restaurant
Oh,
at
wonderful to be here
Disneyland
again.
at one
Can you
time.
introduce everybody? Well, this is my wife, Marion. Hello, Marion.
Bill.
This is our youngest.
All right, we don't care, Don. Go away.
Yeah. There's
That's the guy you see in a
Bozo.
toy on television, and the kids are all yelling, "Hey,
All right,
Bozo!"
now here's Bozo the
Hello,
Clown.
Bozo. How are you, Bozo?
I think I forget his first name. I think it was Vince or Victor Colvig. I think it was Victor. And his father, Pinto Colvig, also played Bozo. And his father was the original voice of Goofy. Yeah, I don't know what the heck that is.
It's
There's only one more I want to show you.
Johnny.
You're Johnny?
Yeah.
And Bobby.
Oh, there-
yeah.
You're
That's
not dressed
Johnny
like
Crawford,
at this time, eh?
And this
No,
is
I'm
Bill
not.
Welch
Change shows on us.
there
Well,
with the
now I'm doing several
microphone.
different shows. Freelance.
He was very well known here in LA. He announced
Okay.
like everything. And he
Yeah.
didn't know which one of these
Couple
was
of fine
Johnny
young
Crawford.
actors.
he just
You've
talked
seen
to
him
him
many
both.
things, of course. There goes an Indian, Chief Gray.
This is Crash Craddock,
Yeah.
who was a
I'm
Western
feeling my
star
wife
at
is
the
watching
time.
this telecast.
Skipper Frank.
McCormick.
You don't get to, he doesn't
Other
talk to
well-known
him. That's
people
all
from,
you get to see of
television
Skipper
and motion
Frank.
pictures. Let's go out and say hello to
Patty
Patty, who
McCord.
slowly sees, not too
That
slowly,
name,
seems
I
to be
know.
growing up at these parades. Patty.
Now, is that the Paddock McCord? No, that can't be. That
Nice
was
to
in
meet you. Thank you.
Bad Seed.
And the very popular Ty
Yeah,
Harden, who is busy in
yeah.
a lot of fine
She's
civic
too old.
activities as well.
I don't know
Hi,
though.
how are you?
How you doing, cowboy?
Well, good to see you. Juan Iota and some of his Indians are coming by.
Yes, and more fake Indians.
This is a real parade. You asked for anything, and we've certainly got it in this parade. If it belongs in the parade, it's here. And certainly congratulations to the people of
Abraham Lincoln.
the Hollywood Chamber
Yeah.
of Commerce, particularly
Abraham
Fred
All of
Grimes,
the Indians.
the executive director, for the very fine turnout. Here's Abraham Lincoln going by to give us a serious thought. Portrayed by Bruce Boyle. Let's say hello to John Russell and Peggy Cass. Hi, Bill.
Nobody wants to hear John Russell.
Yeah, nobody knows.
For the
that.
very fine turnout.
Here they are.
And
Is that
behind
part
them,
turned over?
Barbara Billingsley, Tony Down, Jerry Mather of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Leave It to Beaver series. We got a
I have no
friendly
idea
looking
who
moose.
that is.
No clue.
Bullwinkle from the Bullwinkle show in the middle
It's
there.
Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Probably the worst character flood ever.
And we get back to the parade just in time to say hello to our good friend
There's George Putnam.
Now,
Yeah.
is this Diamond here?
One reporter's
Hello,
opinion.
George. Fine, George.
Good
Who
to
was
see you, Bill. A happy,
He's one of
happy
the people they
Thanksgiving. I hope it's a
based,
joyous one for you and
the,
every member of your family and all
Ted
those you hold
Baxter
dear.
on.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Yep.
Thank you, George. Wonderful to see you in the parade again. George Putnam, of course, Southland's most honored reporter. And you hear him Monday through Friday, 6:45 and 10 on Channel 11. He'll be hurrying back so he can be there. Mary Anders, we used to have
No idea.
How to Marry a Millionaire series.
Oh,
Me
How to
neither.
Marry a Millionaire. Oh, okay. Now we know why she's there.
Another popular
There's
guy
Soupy
that you see on
Sales.
television.
Creepy sales.
This is Soupy Sales. So let's go out and say hello to him. Hello, Soupy.
How are you?
Fine.
This is the first run I've been in. It's just wonderful. This is just exciting.
You got a bunch of friends
Oh,
watching
they're
for you.
wonderful. They're just wonderful. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. Same to you, Bill.
Thank you, Soupy. Soupy Sales. Let me get out of the way now. They just got him in there ahead of the band, but I
All
want
right,
you to hear
there's
the band.
There it
another
is.
Antelope Valley High School.
zombie marching band.
Yes. I'm sorry, guys. We have a wicked sense of humor. It runs in the family. Beulah Bondi, some old actress. So, and I know I have 3 or 4 friends out there going, "Are you kidding? You don't know
Gotta get
that?"
away from them.
There
There
he
is
Here's
Sheriff
the guy.
John.
You know the famous
Sheriff
man,
John.
The Lunch Brigade at noon on Channel 11. Sheriff John,
How are you? Wonderful, thank you.
Very good to see
That was
you
back
again.
in the
We're
days
happy
when
to
you
be in
could
the
say
parade as we
Channel
are here,
11
Bill, and
and
best
you'd know
to
what they
Barb
were
and you, and
talking
happy
about.
Thanksgiving to
Wonderful.
all our
I'm looking
friends
forward
out
to
there. See what we got here, Bill?
All right, that's pretty much
Careful.
Yeah,
that's pretty
that's
much that
garbage.
for the parade.
Yep.
But I thought everybody get a kick out of it. I'm sorry, that's the only footage I can find of Skipper Frank anywhere. So
Whoa.
the problem is a lot of those old shows were done on kinescope,
Most are gone.
and
And,
almost all of them are gone.
Yep.
And just here's a little somebody we haven't mentioned on this show is Paul Winchell.
Oh, well, yeah, we have mentioned him. We have.
Well, we didn't mention him today.
Not today. We should have, because he was
And
an
he had
important
Jerry
person.
Mahoney and Knucklehead Smith, and it was a real good show. It was one of my favorite kid shows when I was growing
Mine
up.
too.
And Paul Winchell ended up in a feud
Yeah.
with KTTV Channel 11, and KTTV burned almost all of the kinescopes
On
from
purpose.
the TV show because Paul Winchell won a lawsuit where he was going to get all the ones that KTTV had. But the way the judge worded it was all the ones KTTV had in their possession, they had to hand over to him. But they just burned them, so they no longer had them in their possession,
The possession.
which was pretty rude. I'm sorry.
Oh, that it was. But in the defense of the business in general, Paul Winchell, though he was a brilliant man, was really crazy. And he did, in fact, help design the first artificial heart.
That's
He
right.
was a brilliant man. But
And he was the voice of Tigger.
And he was the voice of Tigger. And I happen to have had some interaction online with his daughter, April, who became a voice actress herself and worked at the same studio where he had worked for many years. And when she walked in the door, there were about 7 different people who went, because they were afraid she was going to be like him. And April was a fairly nice lady. But Paul Winchell was known for having a bad temper. And yeah.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't really know anything of him other than.
Yeah, he'd had a crappy childhood. So, there's always a story behind the story.
Well, the reason he invented the artificial heart was because his father died reasonably young of a heart attack. So
Exactly.
Which was why he did that.
So everybody means well. So, well, except for a couple of people.
So we gonna be back next week?
Yeah, we'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about next week, but we'll find something to talk about. I thought this was a pretty good show.
I did too. That's the thing, is that I'm having some pain that I have to deal with, and I don't want to go on pain medication because it makes me woofy headed, and I'm woofy headed.
Drunk.
No. Are you in our family? Are you kidding? So
Well,
anyway,
you notice why I don't drink.
yeah, exactly. Our mother died of alcoholism. Our great grandfather died of alcoholism. It's the Irish disease.
It's
And
funny. I never saw my father take a drink, ever,
yeah, I know. Well,
ever once.
when you see it right in your face, you know, you don't ever do
My
it yourself.
father didn't drink and my father didn't cuss. I never heard him say a cuss word, and
I did.
never heard him drink. I never heard him say a cuss word.
I did. Chris, I think I got him madder than you did.
I saw my grandfather say a cuss word one time.
Yeah, once. Yeah.
Once. Because he was mad at my father.
Yes.
So, but we won't discuss that.
Yeah, you can kind
But
of.
anyway.
You know.
All righty. Well,
all right,
then,
guys.
We will be back to see you next week. And I will play us out with our usual music. So
sounds good.
Take care and see you next week.
All right. Take care.